Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, January 17th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian Feast and Marian Meditations. Well, today we have a number of feasts, and we'll start off with probably the most prominent one, which brings us to Pontmain, France, where we celebrate Notre Dame de Pontmain, or Our Lady of Prayer, right? This refers to an apparition that took place on January 17th, 1871, to a group of children. Interestingly enough, Our Lady in this apparition did not say anything, but only gestured, and the message that was entrusted to her was written, letter by letter, slowly in the sky. Right? So it said, "Pray, my children, God will hear you soon. My son allows himself to be moved." The apparition lasted 3 hours, during which the inhabitants of the village prayed and sang fervently, while the children, who were the only ones who could see the apparition, described it and read the writing. There's a story, if you're familiar with Jean Dalby's book, I Believe in Love. He talks about the moment when they are spelling out, the children are spelling out this writing, and because it was in French, it seemed the children said, "Oh, Our Lady has said, my son allows himself," and the adults all said, no, he must be saying, "Our son gets wearied." And Jean Dalby points out, he says, well, why do we always assume that God is wearied with us? No, in fact, he allows himself to be moved. Then we head further south to Rome, where they celebrate Our Lady of Peace. We have multiple dates here. It looks like 1843 is 1 year, and then in another text, we have 1483, right, which probably makes more sense. In 1483, the Duke of Calabria, we're told, having besieged Rome to punish Sixtus IV for having prevented his aiding the Duke of Ferrara against the Venetians, the sovereign pontiff had recourse to the Queen of Heaven, bound himself by vow to build a church under the title of Our Lady of Peace if she should please to deliver the city from the siege and to restore peace to Italy. His prayer having been heard, he fulfilled his vow by beginning to build a church, which was finished by Innocent VIII, his successor. In Austria, we go to the city of Absam, Tyrol, with Maria Absam. On the evening of January 17th, 1797, Rosina Bucher, who was 18 years old, was sewing at the dining room table when she had an attack of fear for her father, who was at work in the salt mines. Looking out the window, she was astonished to see the calm face of a woman in the pane, looking in at her. Now, Rosina, her mother, and shortly the parish priest and neighbors all identified the face as the portrait of the Virgin Mary, which had miraculously formed in the glass. At that point, her father and brother came home from work, having narrowly escaped a disaster in the mine. So the priest ordered tests to be done on the image, which revealed it to be of indeterminable origin. It vanished when underwater, and yet reappeared when dry. With the bishop's approval, the Butchers gave the window pane to the local church of St. Michael. Pilgrims began coming and giving thanks for healings through St. Mary of Absam, whose simple image still surprises the viewer, gazing out from an elaborate golden frame, right? And last but not least, we also remember Nostra Signora della Fortuna in Genoa, Italy. The statue washed up during a storm in 1636. So we're actually going to hear this again later on the 22nd, but it's a wooden statue which was found on the front of an Irish ship, which was shipwrecked in Genova port on January 17th, 1636. So Our Lady of Good Fortune, but it wasn't so fortunate for that Irish ship. Nevertheless, the image was lost, but it was literally fished out again on the 22nd. It became famous for the many graces conceded and favors given to the faithful, and it's venerated in the Church of Saints Carlo e Vittore. So those are our celebrations for today, January 17th. For today's Marian meditation, we continue with the meditations from the book Marian Meditations by Father Ildefonso Villar. And today we start meditation 29, which focuses on the Visitation of Our Blessed Lady. In fact, there's a whole series here based on the Visitation. The Visitation of Our Blessed Lady is a witness given by God to confirm the miraculous conception which took place in Mary. That is why it is a sublime mystery in the life of our Heavenly Mother
and a consoling one for us, her devoted children. The first point, the mystery. No sooner had the mystery of the Incarnation been completed than the mystery of the Visitation takes place. Both are closely connected with each other. We could say that in the Annunciation, heaven itself, through an angel, hails Mary with the most beautiful of all salutations, and acknowledges her as the Mother of God and as the Queen of Heaven. But God does not want earth to remain indifferent, and thus on earth he too prepares a salutation, a witness for Mary. The angel spoke for heaven. Saint Elizabeth spoke in the name of earth. Her words, sentiments, and praises contain something of ours. In her greetings to Mary, she speaks also for us. Rejoice at this arrangement made by God, who indeed wanted that we, through Elizabeth, should share the joy that thrilled heaven and earth in front of the incarnation of the Word and the divine maternity of Mary. Imagine then that you yourself are speaking. Repeat with enthusiasm and fervor the praises which were addressed to our Heavenly Mother by her cousin. For today's reading, we continue with The Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes. If you recall, in this chapter, chapter 5, he's comparing Mary's admirable heart with the fiery furnace of Babylon. Yesterday, he ended with this quote, "Take then a torch in your hand, and if possible, set the entire world afire with love." So then it continues by asking, well, what is that torch? If you ask me what this torch should be, I shall answer that it is yourself. Each one is a torch. Have you not heard the Holy Ghost say of the prophet Elijah that he rose up like fire, and that his words were like a burning torch? And Elijah the prophet stood up as a fire, and his word burnt like a burning torch. It's taken from Ecclesiasticus, I think that's Sirach 48:1. And does the Son of God describe St. John the Baptist as a burning and a shining light? That's John 5:35. When speaking through Zechariah of the time at which he shall work great wonders in his church and in the world, God describes the leaders of Judah, namely the apostles and the other participants in the fulfillment of his desire to enkindle the earth with the fire of heaven, stating that they shall be like a furnace of fire and a burning torch, consuming and devouring peoples to the right and to the left, like fire devours wood and hay. This means that his disciples will enkindle everything, fusing earthly and carnal-minded men into heavenly and spiritual beings, aglow with the love of God and charity towards their neighbor. In that day I will make the governors of Judah like a furnace of fire amongst wood, and as a firebrand amongst hay. They shall devour all the people round about, to the right hand and to the left. That's from the prophet Zechariah, chapter 12, verse 6. This is what you must become if you profess a particular obligation to work for the salvation of souls. You must be made of fire like Elijah, and of flames like St. John the Baptist. Each of you must be a burning furnace, a fiery, radiant torch, aglow within, shining without, ardent before God and shining before men, ardent in prayer and brilliant in action, ardent with the love of God and luminous with charity for your neighbor.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.